In the previous episode of the specialised FSR ground control project, we stripped down the Manitou forks and found them to be in surprisingly good condition considering their age, and we prepped and serviced all the components and parts we're going to reuse to build up the bike. Here's a quick overview of the components we're going to use, and I've changed my mind a little since the last episode, so let me fill you in now.
So I'm just going to run you down the parts we're going to use on the build. Obviously, if you've seen the last videos, I'll put a link up here somewhere. We're going to use the FSR ground control frame, and we're reusing the Manitou, come on, get some focus, Manitou Pro LT forks. We're going to be using some Schwably Billy Bonker tyres. These are 2.1s. We're reusing the wheels that come with the bike, so this STX RC hub, which we serviced in the last video, and the specialised, I can't remember the name of the specialised branded hub, and these are on 138 Mavic rims. Moving across to the drivetrain, we're going to be using 10-speed Shimano XT initially anyhow. I was thinking about reusing the old drivetrain, but I just decided, I've seen some pictures of 1x1s and they look real smart, so I just want to run it as a 1x for a little bit at least and see how it goes. So yeah, Shimano XT with a race face, 36 tooth chain ring, is it 36? Yep, 36, oh, focus, come on, yep, 36. We're using the pedals that come with the bike, because why not, they're pretty good. Shimano XT clutched 10-speed. Reusing the brake levers, these Diacomp ones. Got a new seat post for it because the Ritchie one is on here is cut too short for me. Come on, focus. We're going to use these race face fat bar lights because the colour kind of matches the fork stanchions, and I kind of like a bit matchy like that. So that'd be pretty tasty. I'm going to mix those bars up with a Thompson stem. So this is a 120 0 degrees rise. Kind of looks old school, but it looks super smart, I think. Saddle wise, this is one of my old saddles. This is a recent acquisition. I think this saddle's 10 years old. It's a specialised Ronin, but the colours kind of match. We've got a bit of red and white going on, so they match real nicely with the build colours. So we'll reuse that. It's nice and white on the bottom, so it's kind of a red, white and blue theme. Brakes, reusing the Diacomp brakes, but I need to get some new pads for them. Headset, reusing the headset, but swapping out these silver spaces that come standard for some black ones. Bottom bracket, just a bog standard Holotech Type 2 bottom bracket. Rear cassette is a 10-speed XT, but this has a Superstar range expander on the rear, so we need to lose one of the cogs. Grips, some super cheapy foamy ones from Decathlon. Selection of cables and bits and bobs from Decathlon, and that's about it really. So I think we need to get this frame in the stand and start building. So as you can see, that's the previous video. Let's get on with it, eh?
I'm going to start by installing the forks. Because this headset hasn't got great sealing, I'm just going to go mad with the grease on it. I'm going to overload it with grease, and hopefully that helps it last longer. As you can see, there's excess grease everywhere. It's going to end up in the head tube, and I don't particularly care. As long as the bearings have a decent covering. I'm not going to use this bike too much in the wet and rain if I can help it. So I'm hoping just this level of grease in there will give the bearings longevity, because like, it's not the best headset in the world. I've gone for black spacers rather than the silver spacers it came with, as it matches the stem better. It's not fully the case everywhere, but I think the black headset, the black spacer and the black stem all tie together really nicely. But I have retained the silver specialised top cap because I kind of think it ties in with the forks, the silver crown forks when you look down. This feels so much smoother than when I originally bought the bike. I went for these Renthal fat bar lights as I had them in stock. I've had these quite a long time now. But the main reason is the anodizing of these bars is very similar to the anodized colours of fork stanchions, so it kind of ties the two parts together, which gives it a more coherent look, I think. I decided to go for this red chainring because I thought it matched the colours on the graphics kind of nicely and brought them out a bit more. I thought without a touch of red on the bike it looked a bit stale, so yeah, we've got the red forks, we've got the red graphics on the bike. I just wanted a touch of red in the drivetrain just to sort of elevate the whole scheme a bit with a bit of red lowdown on the bike. So, as you can see, we've got a problem. This expander ring and this rear derailleur aren't playing together and they're catching slightly. And I'm not entirely sure why. I've tried using this derailleur and cassette before on a build and it's worked fine, so maybe it's something to do with the frame geometry or the hanger. Something's not quite right here. But I have a cunning resolution. I'm going to remove this rear mech and I'm going to use a wolf tooth road link or goat link. I can't remember exactly the name of the part, but it basically lowers the rear derailleur, enabling you to use a larger cassette. Now we've got some clearance between the derailleur and the rear cassette, we can get on with the build, get the chain back on and get back going. I found a great deal on Wiggle for these Clark's cartridge type brake pads. They were $2.99 and they come with a spare set of pads on top of these red ones, so fantastic deal, buy those. Got 2 sets for this bike, awesome. So yeah, let's get them installed and get this build back on track. Got a top tip here for you if you're restoring a bike. That's retain the original brake cables and gear cables. It can be a great guide for cutting the new cables to length. Instead of guessing and faffing around, you can reinstall the old cables briefly and cut the new cables to a similar length. Now this opinion might upset some of the bike building experts that might be watching, but I actually quite like the Decathlon cables and gear cables. First off, they're weird. They're like not made in the Far East, they're made in France, so less carbon miles. They also come in quite good ecological packaging, not much plastic, it's just a piece of cardboard wrapped around it. All in all, and it comes with ends. So yeah, very much recyclable apart from that little plastic sleeve. Don't know what else you could use for that job. But yeah, I rate the Decathlon cables. Now the rear noodle was a bit too messed up for my liking to reuse, so I also picked up another one from Decathlon. Again, I like the Decathlon stuff. It's cheap and it works. It's readily available if you got a Decathlon next to you, and it's all made in weird places. Part of the reason that I thought this bike had really good paintwork is because the inner cables were protected using this cable sheath. I've got some of this spare, I think I've got 5 meters of it actually. I've used it on my road bike before for internal cable routing to help there. So I'm going to use a bit of it again on the outside to keep the paint really nice. With the gears and the brake set up, the one last job we need to do is install this new saddle and seat post. Now I've got a feeling that this seat post is a 400mm seat post. It's going to be too long. The frame has a little stop in it, means the seat can't drop into the shock absorber, but I think it's going to look sky high for what I need. My saddle height is usually 75 centimeters, so I need to chop this down a bit and get it looking sensible. What I'm doing here is taking a rough measurement to the center of the seat, and then I'm going to subtract 75 away from that to work out how much I need to chop off the bottom of the seat post. In this clip I'm trying to show the little nub inside of the seat tube which stops the seat post dropping through any further. This could be a good tip to look out for on this bike if you're looking to buy one in the future, to make sure it's still there. I needed to remove 40mm from my seat post. What I'm doing here is just putting a little mark on it to indicate where I need to chop. And then I'm going to use my pipe cutter to cut the tube. Now this tube, seat tube diameter is right on the limit of what my pipe cutter can do on the diameter wise, so it fell off a few times, but it's still the quickest and easiest way to cut aluminium tubes, I think, using the pipe cutter. With the seat post cut to length, the next thing I need to do is deburr the edges to make sure there's no sharp bits, and I'm also going to try to file in a light chamfer around the outside. This will help guide the seat post into the seat tube when inserting it, and there won't be any sharp snaggy points to catch on and cause burrs and marks and scratches and stuff like that. Next we want to lube up the seat post thoroughly, then we can stick it in without issues. Clean off any excess grease, because to be fair this will be a right dust collector if we don't do it. And the final thing we need to do is seat binder, then we just need to level out the saddle a little bit and it's ready to ride. So time for some cool, awesome finished shots of the bike. I'm going to shut up for a minute, so please enjoy this little montage of some shots I've got of the bike. I hope you really enjoy those atmospheric shots of the bike around Minster Ruins. I'm just going to fly over the bike now and let you know what I think, really. Found these cool sort of graffiti bits to take some shots of the bike against. I thought it was worth including as well, because I kind of like both of the sort of the ruins and the graffiti, to be honest. So the bike overall, if I could have found a large, I'd probably have gone for a large instead of a medium to stop having that massive seat mast and seat post tower. I think it would have looked a bit better for my saddle height, but it is what it is. As a second-hand bike, you kind of have to run what you find, and overall the bike feels really comfortable and the position's good for me. I've been really impressed with how the suspension feels actually. Previously the forks had a bit of top out on them, and since I've sort of rebuilt them and re-lubed them up, it feels really nice and plush, to be honest, especially in the colder weather. So I'm a bit worried maybe in the summer they feel super plush and maybe a bit too soft. I'm really impressed with this old FSR suspension as well, to be honest. It works fantastically well. I've done some climbing on this bike and it really winches up hills fantastically well. So I'm guessing like the 34, 32, 34, 36 chainring size, so the middle chainring is like the sweet spot for the bike, and it's like in a good anti-squat part of its swing arm design. Well into the weeds of details there, but yeah, overall really happy with the way it rides. Obviously it's a 90s mountain bike, so it's kind of twitchy with a long stem to calm it down. It's not ideal, but you know, for cruising around some gravel roads and general pottering around and not doing nothing too extreme, it works really well still. I'm really happy with the overall colour scheme of the bike still. In reality I've not really changed too much. The major changes have been changing the stem and seat post from silver to black. I think that gives it a slight modern edge, and also the red chainring and the 1x sort of bring it up to date a little more than the date of the bike suggests. So yeah, I really think that's cool, and I think it really works really well. Overall, yeah, super happy with the sort of profile and image of the bike. That's one thing I sort of was focused on with this frame. It's something I always wanted as a teenager, this bike, so it's kind of like ticked that one off the list, and yeah, it's going to stay around for a little bit. I wasn't sure initially, but yeah, I think I'm going to keep hold of this one for now. I really like it. I've had some good little rides on it. Probably done about 50k on it so far, so nothing too extreme, but yeah, just really happy with the way it turned out. And yeah, the Billy Bonkers and the tan walls and the Renthal bars and those bits and pieces just sort of had a sprinkle of modernness to it. So that's about it for this series on the FSR ground control. Thanks for watching if you've been watching along with me and helping me build this bike up. Yeah, cheers for that. I'll see you in the next video. I've been buying all sorts of old tat at the moment. I'm just in that old tat mood at the moment, so I think I bought 3 bikes since, so expect some more very soon, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.